See, who's one? Blue Point Brewing. Okay, gentlemen, Blue Point Brewing Company, 225 West Main Street, seeks permission for interior alterations and site improvements, including parking modifications, truck access, loading dock, and silo yard. Subject premises located in the E Industrial Zone. How are you guys tonight?
Well, for the record, Mr. Chairman, the Blue Point Brewing Company was at the last month's public work session, and it was a very extensive presentation of their plan.
That's correct. Thank you.
We have handouts as well.
I like handouts. Do you have your cards? No, we don't need the cards. No, we did do a re-advertising.
Yes.
Correct? Yeah, we do
The
the
signs
cards,
are
yes.
posted.
Yes.
And we have the previously approved and the current proposal. So the top three sheets are the modifications, right? The second three sheets are the previously approved site plan and elevations.
So the record should reflect that these are modifications to the plan which we approved several months ago. There were a couple of changes that the applicant brought forward to the building department, and based on the changes that they needed to be memorialized through the process, and the applicant made reapplication for the modifications to the existing approved plan. And so you can point out what those changes are.
Okay. Okay. I'm Charles Miller with Bowler Engineering, professional
sir.
engineer licensed in New York State. Well, to start off, there have been some interior changes. There's actually been a reduction in building square footage, like give or take 6,200 square feet. That reduction is reflected in approximately 5,000 square feet of the second floor area being reduced to provide more height for the first floor operations. And then there was approximately 1,200 square feet reduced by the proposed loading dock pump out that was on the initial plan. So the new total is 71,795 square feet. And so, as you know, what goes hand in hand with that is the parking was adjusted as well. The approved total required was 242. And now we have a proposed 230 spaces required. And previously 387 total spaces have been provided. So the previous surplus was 145 spaces. And we're providing on the modified one 378 total spaces for an increase in the surplus actually to 148 spaces.
I don't know if I can handle that.
We don't go
That does not calculate with us, it always goes the other way. So,
Well,
that's difficult for us to handle.
well,
There must be something in the code against that. Go ahead.
but let me point out that the land bank spaces did increase by nine spaces, so it's not all paved parking, but
Yeah, so in other words, you're actually increasing more green space too.
yes.
Yeah, that's scary. Go ahead.
So that's pretty much lays out the parking. So just to get into the site plan changes, I'd say most of the action, you could say, is on the west side of the building that faces the YMCA. As the design has evolved from design development into construction documents, the west side is really the operations side, and the tankage over there has driven a lot of the changes. Previously, there had been a tank south of the loading dock, and there were, I think, two on the north side, but to consolidate the operations, it was best to put all the tanks in one location. So they're up closer to the door, to the centrally located on the wall at the west side. And so to accommodate that, we had to adjust the loading dock as well. And so that's what precipitated the omission of the loading dock. And so now the loading bays, they're gonna be cut directly into the existing wall of the existing building. And so what goes hand in hand with that is that the previous angle of the loading docks has gone away, and now they're gonna load straight out from the building, perpendicular to the building. And so we've got 3 recessed docks and truck wells, and then north of that, there's an on-grade loading area to load and unload the tankage that are just in the tank area to the north there. So, but to accommodate this, we had to omit, there were 15 parking spaces there omitted along that drive aisle.
So where you're placing the tanks right now, you're eliminating the parking spaces in this area, also in front of the loading docks.
Yes. Yes.
But again, parking is not an issue, so the elimination of a few spaces is not an issue.
Correct, we agree.
Right. Plus, it's not on the Main Street side, it's now on the west side of the building, correct? It's on the west side of the building.
Yes.
In many ways, it's a simpler design, actually, I'm looking at the renderings, it's actually aesthetically, I think it's better looking, quite frankly.
Right, thank you. Yeah, the tank, if you look at the first elevation, which is the second page, you can see how the tanks will look, but the colors may vary a little. I think there's gonna be one stainless steel and the others may be painted steel tanks. But in general, this is the look they'll have on that
The
one.
loading area looks a little better too, in terms of aesthetics.
So, another thing we did is we moved all the ADA parking spaces over to the west side there, because this is really gonna function as the main entrance to the facility. And we had a proposed trash enclosure, which we omitted. We're just going to utilize the existing trash enclosure up near Holbrook Road up there. And this gives us a little more parking closer to the front door. So that pretty much sums up the west side. There's a change to the south side also that faces on Main Street. And the change there is a HVAC condenser unit that's on the ground. It's about 10 feet wide by 60 feet long. And it landed there because there were structural issues with it being on the roof. So, but there is also planned for that, a sound attenuation wall in front of it. That will mitigate any noise from that.
Gives an industrial look to an industrial building in an industrial zone,
Okay.
which we can argue one way or the other, should or shouldn't be an industrial zone, but it is what it is. And it was built to
Yes.
look like the lace mill, so we're still capturing the flavor of Patch Island,
Right.
no pun intended.
And so if you look on the third elevation, the third sheet of the package, you'll see the elevation of that south side. We still have the wood screen wall screening the loading operations. And we're gonna put that in and keeping all or most of those nice trees that are over there. And then you can see the block sound wall in front of the condenser units, the chiller units. And they've also, the architect has also changed the glazing on the doors that lead up to the stairs. The stairs are back in there, and the previous approval had like an opaque finish on it. These are gonna be, you're gonna be able to see barrel storage in there, which I think will help the effect of it being a brewery.
years.
employees?
Yeah.
by,
Ballpark 20 to 25.
2025.
2025 production, and there'll be sales and delivery support staff that
And you run pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
Can we have your name for the record? And your address?
Yeah. Dan Ganson, 132 Cherry Lane, Bedford, New York.
You are the master brewer, right?
Yeah. Brewmaster and Director of Operations.
Is that something you learned, just out of curiosity, is that something you learned here with Blue Points when it opened, or is that?
I've been brewing professionally for 13 years now. I started with Anheuser-Busch in St. Louis. So I did a lot of my brewer learning there. I got a technical degree by background, engineering here. So
Okay.
How many trucks do you suspect that, expect, I should say, be in and out of there in a typical week or a day, or
we're thinking ballpark 3 to 4 a day.
trailers,
Yeah. Trailers.
and they'll go up Waverly?
Yeah, that's the plan.
A large truck with Vermont plates actually showed up at the River Avenue facility today. Is that typical of the sort of truck that comes in with the grain and whatnot? That was a grain truck, I assume. Big sucker.
Yeah, I mean, 53 foot is a typical, like, beer distribution trailer. So yeah, 53 foot standard cab, sometimes sleeper cab. So,
We need to
yeah,
back up.
big
I was near the corner, well, near the Delgado's property. And I did keep him some room to make that turn, but he did fine. That's a hard corner to turn, that River Avenue corner.
And then
It'll be easier this
we'll be
way.
set up way better for truck
Yes,
traffic at our
absolutely.
new facility. Yeah. Chuck and his team have done a really nice job designing a turnaround back in, making it real easy, all the way from pedestrians and parking. So,
Absolutely.
And then also, we're in the process of working with the county on modifying the access too for the tractor trailers to make a left turn into the entrance. So the bright concrete pork chop on that entrance is gonna go away. We're gonna strike that so that it's more accommodating for I guess 53-foot trailer and 12-foot cab, like a WB 60-70.
Yeah, it'd be kind of rough to get in and out with that.
Yeah.
It's a tough turn for car.
Yeah.
It's pretty tight.
And so then we should also just point out, we tweaked the east side a little bit as well, and that's the experiential side. That design is still evolving, but we've changed the land bank area. We've reduced the land bank parking a little bit in that area, but the previous approval had grass, like a grass surface in there, but we've designed out a brick paver look in there that will be, separated off with bollards, and then if it's ever needed for parking, the bollards will come down and cars can park. And then the other thing is we've taken off the furnishings that were on the previous approval. We had the buoy boxes and chairs out on the deck over there. And so at this point, since it's still evolving, we've taken those off the plan, and something's gonna go there, but we'd like to add that on as the whole experiential design comes, evolves and gets finished.
As long as there's no plans to eliminate the experiential part of it.
No, not at all.
Okay.
We want to get construction started, and then
I can appreciate you want to start making beer first.
That's-
and
Don't worry about visitors later. I can
That's-
We
appreciate
don't plan on building a showpiece brewery without inviting people to come see it. So we'll definitely want to do that. And it's in the works right now. Just we designed this piece first, and then now we're switching design efforts.
So are there any other changes you want us to consider other than ones that you've pointed out?
I think that pretty much covers it. We do have a request to amend the previous approval in one other aspect, the landscape plan. So that's, as it's turning out, that's gonna be connected to the experiential, so previously it was connected to getting a building permit. So we'd like to request that that be changed to having a landscape plan provided before the facility opens.
As a condition to issuance of a certificate of occupancy, not building permit.
Yes.
We can do that.
I mean, most of the landscaping that's there on the, westerly side and the southern side, that's basically, that's gonna stay as is.
Yes.
So all we're talking about any additions to the landscaping, and that would be more involved with the experiential
That
part.
would be on the
of
east side,
process.
yes.
I think that's reasonable.
And if, yeah, as long as you submit that prior to CO, we have no issue with that.
Great.
I'm sure, unless somebody can point out the reason why we do, we haven't heard from the public yet. Most of the public went home, I might also point out, but we do have to listen to the public.
So that's,
Does anyone have any, we did meet with the applicant, went over a lot of these changes, and, one or two members, I think it was 2 members of the planning board, and, felt at that time that this needed to be memorialized, so that it's reflected, on the record, these changes. But, we thought that all these changes, speaking personally for myself, I thought they enhanced the project greatly. And, want to get them going. You guys have, it's August, so you probably already have your RFPs back, and you're probably ready to break ground, right?
Dangerous or close.
Oh, that's right, that's your village. Getting close.
yep,
Good.
getting close, very close.
Okay, you gentlemen can have a seat. Is there anyone in the audience wish to speak for or against the application?
Yes, there is.
Sir, please come forward. Carefully.
Yes, I know. There'll be no wardrobe malfunction this time.
We're counting on it.
I hope not. John Bojack, 8 Knoxon Street. I just have one question, which is, there's still a plan for an outdoor concert space, correct?
Yes,
Right. Where is that exactly located?
it's on the east side of the building.
East side, by Main Street?
Correct? East side. No,
No, not Main Street, east towards the spur and Lake Street and, Harley Bills. and-
Hastings.
Okay, by
East
Harvey
side of the
Bill.
building. With the prior,
That
yeah,
huge- that
parking
huge
permits.
grassy and the big parking lot.
Okay, and is it separate? So that's where it's gonna go? How big is that space gonna be actually?
Well, a lot of this still actually involves what ends up becoming the final experiential plan, which is still in the works. Correct me if I'm wrong about that?
that's correct.
Okay, I see where it is, I see what it is, okay, fine.
It's that brick area. I'm
Okay,
gonna change it from grass to brick.
it's changing from grass to brick now,
Pavers.
pavers? How many people are gonna be fit in this area? You know?
This is not set in stone yet, as I just explained. This is still evolving, and they're gonna be back before this board with a final plan for the experiential part of the project.
You should be noted, there is grass around this area.
There is, and with the.
Pre-existing right now.
And, okay, and how proximate to the Patchogue River is this new area gonna be, this outdoor concert area?
Well, you've got that water trough that goes from the lake to feeds the river right there, it's all right there.
Right, but then it flows through the property, through, past the parking
So
lot,
it
down
goes
to
to-
Main Street.
Let's not get disturbed. The plan indicates there's about an 11-foot distance between a walkway and what is currently the little stretch of river, if you will. And then the paver area is beyond that, on the other side of that 11-foot walkway.
Okay, I just, the only thing in my mind is, so all right, so now I know where the concert area is, okay, so I know that. But just looking at that little culvert which is the Patchogue River, right? I just, unfortunately, it's very open, people trash it, they do. When you have a large number of people, you're gonna have some capacity, some potential for doing that as well. So I'm just wondering what the owners will be doing in terms of making sure that area is segregated.
There is a buffer there, John, and there's also a fence, if I'm not mistaken. I think there's a fence that's separate. You can't walk to the river. I was just looking at it the other day. I think
Is
there's
it,
a-
is it next?
Yeah, it's an embankment, and I think there's a fence or a I'd have
There's
to
a
look at it.
proposed protection,
It's
full
just-
protection fence,
Right,
on the slip, I think it's at the slip, I can really read this. For the building plans.
the closest to where you could get to is 11 feet.
You're closer to it on,
I mean, you
Actually,
could
on the
walk on the
sidewalk.
sidewalk, of course, and walk
Yeah.
right up to it.
Right, you can now,
Right.
but when you have a couple hundred people, that's gonna change the dynamic a little bit, you know? When you have a
Probably
couple
no
hundred
worse than
people,
what goes on the river
It
every.
appears from the plan that there's a, call it what you will, there's a walkway or a boardwalk, which I believe is 10 feet wide, that's pretty good size.
And
actually.
then
And then there's a fence, a fall protection fence just to the west of the boardwalk.
Okay, so it's going to be cordoned off and
Mhm.
and made sure, all right, that's the only thing I was really concerned about. Because now it's pretty open down by that culvert.
Quite frankly, this will be a lot nicer,
yeah,
Not nice.
allow people to actually access the area more past it.
Okay.
And it is surrounded by a green area.
Yeah, I'm convinced they're doing all they can to keep that protected.
They are,
Otherwise, you'd have to, put a roof over it or something, which is like crazy.
no, you don't need to put a roof over it now, but let's be honest, it's a culvert area now, it's very exposed under the present owners.
Yeah.
So it's relevant to ask a question about future protection.
No, I agree.
Particularly since you're gonna have several hundred more people in the vicinity, and not all of them are gonna be sober.
It appears to be much better protected than it actually currently
Right,
is.
right, so that's my only concern, Mr. Biggs, it is Mr. Carter Biggs, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
sure.
You seem to be right on, it's like you've always been here.
Keep coming back.
Is that right?
Yes,
Oh, I didn't know that.
my third.
I was astounded by how quickly you picked up everything, so, that's it, that was my only question, I was just concerned about that area, it is kind of fragile and vulnerable, so. That's it.
That's absolutely true.
Otherwise, as I testified before with you guys, move on, get going.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you,
John.
Mr. Mayor.
That's fully our intention here in about 30 seconds. Anyone else wish to speak for or against the application? There being no one in the room, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve the amended application as it has been submitted to us. The only change being that the landscaping plan shall be submitted, and planting schedule, shall be submitted concurrently with final plans for the so-called experiential phase of the project and prior to the issuance of any certificate of occupancy.
Thank you, Mr. Weeks. Can I get a second?
second.
Second by Ms. Gregousky. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Congratulations.
All right.
Thank you.
And get cracking.
Try.
I hate to see that building empty.
I do too.